Is it you, our Too Sensitive podcast, with your friend, Jade Beal? A place for those of us who are easily overstimulated, to be reminded, to be given permission to be exactly who we are. There is nothing to fix. There is nothing to make better. There is no more self-help that is needed, my loves. The only thing we get to do is to continue to allow ourselves to be ourselves, no matter how contrary to the world that may be. Easier said than done. I know. I'm doing it right alongside you. Earth School is so intense. And it's also magical, my loves. What if the intensity and the pain was the point? What if it was an honor to feel burnout, sadness, depression? What if that is the journey? What if leaning into that is where the magic lives? The older I get, the more I realize how intense Earth School is. I mourn the place I was before I was born. And I know I'll get to return there one day. I'm in no hurry though. Although I've had plenty of times in my life where I felt done with Earth School. The truth is, I'm still alive. And I feel like that is an important part to listen to. I have so many dear friends my age and even younger who are not alive anymore. And so the mere fact that I am still alive and I am 46 and I am just feel like learning how to do this Earth School, there's a point. And so I must lean into that sadness. I must lean into that desire that I've had so many times to just tap out of Earth School. Like, I'm done here. But I'm not done here. I keep waking up. Just on Thanksgiving, this last Thursday, I had an anxiety attack. That, again, I already know this. I've had hundreds at this point. But I always wonder, is this it? Is this the end? Because my heart was racing and I start to kind of feel out of body. And I can't quite tell what is real and not. And my heart is racing, and as soon as I allow fear to come in, like, oh my God, who's going to take care of my son? Who's going to find me here dead? Like all these things that go through my head. As soon as I release all that and do the thing what I need to do, which is to lay my body down and breathe. I went for a walk first, and that doesn't usually help. What I need is to... So, I was in the middle of cooking some food that I was going to bring to a party with some friends for Thanksgiving, and I had to stop because I was feeling more and more out of body. My heart was racing, and I thought to myself, I'm going to have to cancel. I'm not going to be able to go to this party, which, if you know me, I cancel on most things. I don't go many places these days. I need so much tranquility in order to feel stable. So, or not stable, regulated, I would say. In order to be able to have enough energy to do what I really need to do to meet life, which is work and take care of my son. That's pretty much for the many last years, I guess since my son was born, to be honest. The majority of my energy that I have is to work, and I'm self-employed, and take care of my baby, who's now 13. He's not a baby, but he's still my baby. Okay, going back to Thanksgiving. I put down my knife, I put down the things I was using to make this tabbouleh salad that I was making, and I went and laid down on my fake sheepskin rug that I love so much. And I did breath work. And I did the kind of breath work that through the nose, you inhale for 4 counts, really like at the top, like fill, so that it almost is like uncomfortable for me. And then I hold for a 4 count. And then I exhale 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I did that over and over and over. Like after a few minutes, I paused to check to see how I felt. Didn't feel any different. Kept going. There was a part of me that wanted to be like, well, this isn't working. Maybe you are really dying this time. Kept going. I'm safe. Even if I die, I'm safe. So there's nothing really to be afraid of. I'm safe. The absence of fear allows me to be fully with my breath. And I think after about 10 minutes, I started to feel like I was coming back into my body. I felt like my heart stopped racing. So I kept going with that breath. Thank you, body. I told myself, thank you. Thank you for alerting me that something is going on. Something's going on. I don't know what it is. I don't. And my protective brain and my protective part wants to analyze and be like, well, what was it? So we can avoid it again. What happened? I was so excited to have a day off because I've been working a lot. I was so excited to have a day off on Thursday for Thanksgiving. And I woke up with this anxiety, like, what? I was looking forward to this day. So I get to surrender. I don't know why this is happening. It makes sense that I get a little bit afraid, but I must rein in that fear real quick. Otherwise, it just gets worse. It's valid that I want to be afraid. But what is more true? I have so much evidence now, hundreds of these kind of anxiety attacks, although they all have a tiny bit different flavor, which I think is why my brain can kind of come and be like, well, this didn't happen last time. And again, I want to remind y'all, I am not giving any medical advice here. I'm not telling you what you should do with your anxiety or how you feel. I know I went to the hospital for an anxiety attack and I had heart test done, MRI, brain scan, I believe. They checked everything to make sure everything was online, and which was really helpful because that is part of what plays in my mind when these happen now. It's like, baby girl, you don't have a brain tumor. Your heart is perfect. Everything is okay. We've been through this before. And that slow breath and the hold and the slow exhale really is my go-to lately with these anxiety attacks. And maybe you don't experience anxiety or panic attacks. But regardless, I just want to share this treasure of breath. Like, it's so simple. Millions and billions of people talk about it. It's so easy to dismiss and be like, what? Breath? Whatever. It's so easy to avoid. And I like to say, why not? Why not just try it? The thing is, most people that I work with, they go, yeah. That's great, Jade. Thanks for telling me about breath work. And they don't try it. Well, they'll try it, but not consistently. Because the fear is valid and the fear takes over. No, this is more serious than breath work. I know, I get it. The same conversation goes in my head. But I have to continue during those panic attacks. I'm also cultivating and strengthening that part of me that says, the highest self part, that's like, I know you're scared, honey. I know. I'm parenting myself in those moments. I know you're scared. Here's the thing. Whatever happens is okay. So let's be with this. We know ways out of this. We have so much evidence that this will pass. Let's be with it. And I know I talk a lot on these episodes about self-healing, and some of you might roll your eyes because I know in the Western model, which I love the Western model, but I think it is one part of so many avenues for healing. And what the Western model tells us is that everything is physical. And yet, so many people are so frustrated with the Western model because they have all these symptoms. They can barely get out of bed. I'm trying to think of one. A lot of autoimmune disorders, a lot of sensitivity to mold, sensitivity to chemicals, chronic migraines, chronic just headaches, anxiety, attacks that feel like heart attacks. We go in, we want a diagnosis from the Western model, and they say, well, there's nothing wrong with you. And I know I've said this before. When I went in with that anxiety attack thinking I was having a heart attack, and they did all the tests, and the test came back perfect, I rejoiced. But what I hear so many clients that I work with say is they feel frustrated that they are not given a diagnosis. And what I like to, what I feel like there's this gap that I so desperately, not desperately, so passionately desire to be a part of, which I don't know much. I'm a nobody. I'm a student in all this. I look up to my teachers like Nicole Sachs. She has the podcast, The Cure for Chronic Pain. I am an evangelist about her podcast because it is amazing. If you have a chronic condition, you can go to her podcast and listen to many people and how they healed that in themselves. She also has an incredible book that was just released this year, Mind Your Body. A phenomenal book. My point is, I work with thousands of people who get defensive and angry at their doctors or at me for suggesting that they might have the power to heal. I've lost many followers for suggesting that we have the power to heal. It's interesting. I find it so fascinating that it can trigger such defensiveness. And I understand why it would trigger such defensiveness. Because we grew up in the Western model, which says everything we feel is physical in our body. Everything that we feel pain-wise has a physical solution, which is just not true. And you don't have to agree with me. Everything we feel does not have a physical solution. A lot of it is deep, emotional, spiritual disconnection. We are not told, we are not taught emotional literacy. And most of us are spiritually disconnected in this Western model because of spiritual or religious, not spiritual, but religious trauma. Because we see religious people and we're like, we want nothing to do with those kind of people. Mainstream religion has sort of hijacked, for a lot of us in our minds, spiritual connection. This need of the Western model and science, which are both gorgeous. Science is gorgeous. The Western model has its good points, a lot of bad points as well. But the scientific mindset of so many Westerners, in my opinion, has really guided us towards dismissing the spiritual and dismissing the power that lives beyond the explainable. And so, Yeah, we don't meditate. We don't trust in breath work. We don't trust that we have the power within us to heal so many of our chronic issues. And the cool thing is, and Nicole Sachs, my teacher, who I just mentioned with the podcast, The Cure for Chronic Pain, people like her are bringing the science to this. So people that are more scientific minded and oriented and don't necessarily feel safe to embrace the unexplainable, they can see that there is science behind self-healing. A lot of it lay in nervous system regulation and in healing the chronic states of fight or flight, which are abundant in this go, hustle, put on a mask. Especially so many of us are deeply feeling, we don't even know it. So many of us are on the spectrum somewhere and we don't even know it. Especially for those of us, when we have to hustle and abandon our true self and abandon our true flow. Like me, I'm kind of slow. Slow doesn't work in this hustle, but that's who I am. And that is where it becomes second nature and even praised in our culture to live in a state of fight or flight. Success, hustle, oh, you're so busy. We just praise busyness because non-busyness is considered lazy. And in a capitalist environment, which I'm not here to say what is good or what is wrong about capitalism. I'm not smart enough to comment on those things. But what I do know is that non-hustle in this capitalist environment that works for many does not work for me. Says I'm lazy. And so resting doesn't seem like an option because who wants to be perceived as lazy and who does not want to be successful? So my point is, there's science now for those of us who are more science-minded of how we have the power for self-healing. It's not woo-woo thinking. It's not positive affirmations only. It is harder. It is darker. It is intense to do self-healing because learning how to regulate our nervous system, learning how to free ourselves from living in a chronic state of fight, flight, freeze, fawn is very challenging when we're trying to make it in the hustle, go. Yay, you're so busy. Yay, you're so thin. Yay, you're so... all the things that are praised for at least me, a deeply feeling person, and most people I work with, lead to chronic states of fight or flight. So what's my point here? I don't know. I don't know what my point is. Yes, I do. I do know what my point is. I was talking about anxiety. My anxiety, specifically. And learning how to surf through those. And, well, this week I've gone back to these 20-minute meditations guided by Joe Dispenza. Have you all heard of him? Have you tried any of his meditations? There's so many free ones out there. I'm just doing a free one. It's a morning meditation to live your best life, basically. And what I love about Joe Dispenza's meditations, specifically, I know a lot of people do not like his meditations, but what I like is this focus on feeling the spaciousness my body takes up in space and really like feeling that like, whoa, because I often get to this spot where I'm like, I am space. It's so cool to like feel that spaciousness my body takes up in space, especially as someone who has lived most of her life so afraid of this body taking up space. In other words, so afraid of being fat. And yeah, I would highly recommend searching for some of his meditations and giving it a try. But I've been committing to these morning 20-minute meditations, and it's just amazing to me that how easy it is for me to not do the 20-minute meditation, and yet I will spend 20 minutes scrolling on Instagram. Now, lately, my main goal in life is to protect my peace, which means I am so much less on social media. And just yesterday I realized I haven't been on Facebook all day today. And this is like been for about a month now, but this is new, y'all, because for the last 20 years, since the beginning of MySpace, I was on MySpace, feeding the algorithm my photography and my ideas in the pursuit of success, which I have had. I had success. I was on the Today Show. I was on the BBC. My photos circulated the world with millions and millions of views. I had that success. And you know what? To maintain that success required me to feed the algorithm in a way that perpetuated a state of chronic fight, flight, freeze. And there's many successful folks out there who can go, hustle, hustle, and not to be in a chronic state of fight, flight, or freeze. I am not one of those people. For me to hustle and feel like I have to continue to feed the algorithm, which eventually felt like a complete prison, which also was scary because I'm like, how do I run my business without this prison that I've created for myself, which is I get all my business from social media. Separating myself from the prison took a long time because, well, yes, I am slow. I'm slow at figuring things out. But also, it was a gift. Because here's the thing, as I was talking about last week or a few weeks ago, when I first started, my desire for nursing was at the very beginning of my success into social media and doing what I did, which was beautiful, and I don't regret any of it. It took me to incredible places, and it showed me that protecting my peace is the most important thing. And that participating, specifically on Facebook, but also Instagram, when I participate and share so much on those platforms, I feel like I'm sharing my most unwell parts of myself, because I share and then I have to monitor the comments and then I'm checking that, and it just keeps me imprisoned. Instead of, with that same amount of time, I can do a 20-minute meditation and change my whole energetic field. And here's the thing about protecting my peace. I am someone who did activism with my body. I used to volunteer to help migrants out in the desert who were lost and dying, bring them food and water. We couldn't pick them up. That was illegal. I found people on the brink of death out there. It was intense, y'all. I live right on the border where big amounts of migrants are coming through the desert. And in the summer, I mean, the heat is deadly, but also in the winter, it's really freaking cold. So I've done that. I've done all kinds of different activism with my body, with my camera, with social media. And a lot of it, to be honest, felt very fruitless. I felt usually worse afterwards than like I'd helped. And so what I have now learned, at least this is for me, you can disagree, my biggest form of activism and helping the world is by protecting my peace. And by protecting my peace means it probably looks like I'm going to go against what is quote unquote successful, praised in my culture. I'm going to turn Facebook off and turn meditations on. I'm not saying you have to. I think there's people out there who absolutely can do both. I cannot. I am my most unwell self when I am feeding the algorithm, specifically on Facebook. And so these meditations, it just reminds me. Oh my gosh. And so a lot of my meditations right now are super focused, of course, on this new path path I desire to work with the dying. And the way that I have decided to do that is by becoming a nurse, so that I can have the credentials and get paid well to do the work I really desire to do. I want to bring that inner peace to the spaces and the families of the dying. I don't know exactly how that's going to look, but I keep visualizing how it feels. Not visualizing, but then I feel it on my body. Like, what does it feel like to go and be with people in the hardest moments of their life? Maybe, potentially, at least it was for me when my dad died. In a culture that does not have ceremony for death at all. We live in a culture that is very, in my opinion, very, very afraid of death. And I personally believe we're very, very afraid of death because so many of us have been religiously hurt, or we are completely spiritually disconnected. When in fact, death, in my opinion, is a glorious return to home. But for those of us who stay on earth with those of our loved ones who have died, there's a lot of grief to contend with. And most of us I did not know when my dad died, the stages of the dying. I did not know the normalcy. We do not know that the body knows how to die. It's fascinating to me how removed we are from death, but also from birth, both. The labor of being born and the labor of dying. So far removed. And again, this is not a like, oh, what's wrong with us? No. This is just what is. And the thing is, when we're headed a certain way, it's beautiful because there's an opportunity for a new way. And as someone who's not afraid of death, who actually sees it as a beautiful return, and I wholeheartedly believe it, I do not believe it just goes dark. I'm not going to impose my beliefs onto those who I'm holding, but when I can hold that space within myself, when I can be that beacon of peace around others, when I can help educate others who might be more scientifically minded, the normalcy and what to expect with the dying. Like, for instance, a lot of people, when their final days, start seeing their beloved ones on the other side. It's so cool. They start talking to their mother who's been dead for 30 years, or siblings, or their child, or and the thing is, the Western model thinks that they're insane. And the cool thing is that there's now proof they're not insane. And this happens to the majority of people who get to die in their homes of a chronic or terminal disease, or just of old age. This is how the body prepares to die. And part of it is you start living in that liminal space in spirit world and here. But most Westerners think, what's wrong? My loved one who is dying is going insane. They get angry instead of, oh no, this is actually a really normal part of dying. So it was that last surge of energy. So when my dad was dying, I had no idea about all of these things. I had no idea. To me, death was something so scary in a culture that's constantly trying to just fix us, fix, which is gorgeous. How beautiful we have these abilities to fix us. And also there's this natural part of being human, which includes dying. Okay, I don't know how I got on this tangent. I'm so passionate about the dying right now, and I can basically talk to no one about it, because as soon as I just bring it up a little, people are like, okay, because it's such a taboo. Even yesterday, I have this tattoo on my arm that says dad, and I have these other tattoos of a uterus and an agave. And the massage therapist, when she was massaging my arm, she's like, oh, dad, what does that mean? And I was like, oh, well, my dad died. And I don't know what I was saying. I was kind of out of it. But she wanted to know what the 3 lines on my forearms are. And then underneath on one arm, it says dad. And I was telling her, I was like, yeah, the 3 lines just came to me after my dad died. I just feel like I had been initiated into this really sacred space of the dying. And I could tell she was like, the sacred space of the dying. But I was like, I must sound like a freaking loony bin. And, I've listened now that I am obsessed with hospice nurses. I've been listening nonstop to memoirs written by hospice nurses. And they all 3, I've only read 3, but I'm going to continue listening to more. But all 3 of them say, like, it's really hard to share their work with anyone because most people feel it as such a downer and such a like, oh gosh, sorry. And it's like, no, this is beautiful. This is spiritual. So I guess what I'm trying to say, all of here, this all connects. This all connects in the way of, I feel there's such opportunity for us Westerners to lean more into our spiritual practices for health, for a greater sense of belonging on earth. And I say this because I am someone who can, when I'm in my lower moments, feel so alone. And I know I'm not alone. I know we live in a chronic state of that so many of us in this culture feel so devastatingly alone. And yet we're so overworked and hustling that there's no energy to make the friendships perhaps that we want. I know for me, I don't have much energy in the last 13 years to invest into friendship. Thank God I have a few who stick by me, even though I'm the wateriest, most cancel last minute person on earth. But thank you. I know one of you are listening. Elizabeth, yeah, you stuck by my side, even though I am such a freaking watery ass person. And so it's so normal to feel so alone. And then I see all these podcasts about how longevity, the most important part of longevity is to be around other people. And I'm like, oh shit, I guess I'm gonna die soon because besides my clients and my son and a few core friends that I have, I'm kind of alone. And I can get, like I was saying, pretty down. I don't have family nearby. I can't even drive. I mean, if the border's closed, I'm going to be able to see my mom again. Like, it's so easy for me to feel so alone. And I know I've talked about this a lot here. And I feel like an orphan. And I feel so disconnected from my ancestors. I don't even have connection to the people that were trying to find a better life and surviving incredible hardship. I don't have any connection to them, which is so sad. I don't have connection to my thousands of years ago ancestors who were worshiping and had their own spiritual practices before the Romans took it all and wiped it all away. I have no connection to my original roots of spirituality. And so we get to remember. And so it's very valid that I feel alone, but the truth is, and I always come back here, I allow myself to wallow, and you feel so alone, nobody, I have no family. No one goes with me to my son's wrestling matches. Whoa, I allow myself to wallow in my sadness. And then I have to shake it off and fucking get over it. Because that's not the truth. Okay, we can cry about it. And then we have to shake it out, breathe, do whatever we need to do, scream. Because here's the absolute capital T truth. I am not alone. I am connected to you, dear listener, precious one. Right now, we are all interconnected, just like the trees with mycelium under the earth. Like it or not, we're connected to the worst people, sorry, and the best ones. Yay. Yay. And that is part of why I want to be that little beacon. I see it almost like, you know, the circles in the roads what are they called? Where you're driving and then there's a circle instead of like a stoplight. I see myself as one of those circles where there's lots of roads leading to that circle. And I am that circle of peace where lots of roads are leading to. And to, my goal, my desire, my practice, my earth school is to protect that peace so that when people are intersecting there, they get to, I'm not giving them the peace, but they get to, their nervous system, their spiritual self gets to remember, there's that peace. There's that peace. We don't need anyone to fix us or to do anything. We just, as humans though, we do benefit from being reminded by others over and over and over again, especially if you're like me. I need to be reminded 5 million times of the same thing and given permission to. So, protecting the peace, protecting our nervous system. And our nervous system is a spiritual, beautiful being. I love looking at diagrams or photos of our nervous system. Have you ever seen one? Go look at one if you haven't. The brain and then the nervous system is like this dangly, looks like a sea creature. And I just think, look at that cute spiritual magnet. It is an earth physical thing, but it is run by spiritual connection. If that precious little nervous system is in a chronic state of fight or flight, the physical body is going to struggle. It makes sense. And if we never figured out how to regulate our nervous system, how to feel safe, even though the world feels like it is on fire, it makes sense if we never tended to that, and that would be fine. There's no morality around this self-healing. And I think that's why a lot of people resist it too. It's like, we feel like, well, I didn't do this to myself. And then we feel like there's moral obligation too. Like, well, you think I'm a bad person if I don't quote unquote self-heal. No. Mama Earth loves us no matter what. Period. Whether we tend to that, whether we die in a dysregulated state, or whether we die in a very regulated state, knowing that we are safe even though the world is on fire. But the spiritual opportunity that we have, and the physical one, of tending to our inner peace, is a brave one, because it will go against, like I keep repeating like a broken record, it goes against what is celebrated in our culture. And so we must be brave. I'm still figuring out. I have not figured it out. I get overwhelmed so easily. And I cancel way too much because I'm still learning how to regulate this precious nervous system, but I'm getting better and better. Oh my God, it's so amazing. And when I'm committed to these meditations and I prioritize my peace over being a prisoner to Facebook, or being a prisoner to my phone, or being a prisoner to being someone who I'm not, it's actually a lot easier than I remembered. When I don't drink lots of alcohol, or none, right now I'm in a period of no alcohol. Again, oh my gosh, no more alcohol. Not because alcohol is bad, but if I want to protect my peace, no alcohol. If I want to protect my peace, figuring out how to have peace with my husband and the fact that he has children who don't like me. If I want to protect my peace, prioritizing meditation over anything else. And by anything else, I mean my phone. If I want to protect my peace, I have to get curious about my addictions to sugar, my addictions to food, not because food is bad, but because I will use food over protecting my peace. I will use food to distract me rather than sitting with what potentially could lead to that anxiety attack like I had on Thursday at Thanksgiving. It's a valid coping mechanism, food. My reality TV shows were a valid coping mechanism. And also, I'm just remembering, I haven't been watching a reality TV show now for a few weeks or more. Oh, it feels like rebirth. Like, oh, there you are again. Not that reality TV shows are bad. They're not. They are not. But I was using them chronically. I was using them to avoid. I was using them because I was in a frozen state. But luckily, I'm still here. I still do watch Survivor. I love Survivor. So, dear listener, are there any ways, opportunities, not work, no fixing, to protect your peace? And all of us can be these little intersections, little roundabouts of peace for our greater interconnectedness that we are as humans. And that to me is one of the greatest gifts that I can give. Because that's another spiritual practice. Focusing on myself constantly is so dysregulating. Constant self-help, constant like, what's wrong with me? So dysregulating. Tending to myself so that I can have inner peace, so that I can then interconnect and be of service. Being of service is a spiritual practice, but it's impossible to do if we're chronically exhausted and chronically dysregulated and chronically like, what's wrong with me? And for me, part of my spiritual practice is just what I've spoken about so many times of like, look in the mirror. I like what I see. I don't like what I see. Doesn't matter. I love this body. I'm in reverence of this body. So, I wanted to share another poem from my current favorite book, Journal of the Soul by Sophia Kutsaiti. So let's take a deep breath. Open your mouth. Soften your shoulders. Wiggle your toes. This one is called The Holy Below. I did not seek to rise, for what is the fever of climbing when the roots hold what the branches seek? The world was drunk on ladders and heavens, but the holy was waiting beneath my feet. Beneath the mind, beneath the masks of stories, I sank into the depth where thought gathers itself like a tide before rising. No prophecy was written more clearly than in my own body, bearing witness with each breath, an oracle alive in its senses. Its hip bone, the gravity of the earth, drawing me down into what endures within what is always ending. I did not find God. I found where she withdrew when language hunted her. In the chamber beneath speech, in the scars that opened into doorways, and in the inhale before exhale falls into song. Nothing was transcended. It was all here. The holy lives lower than I was taught. And when I listened from the ground, I heard it. Life's voice, as a root onto its own flowering. The eternal returning to itself again and again. God hides in my every breath. And so, in the name of protecting our peace, I'm going to guide us now through a 5-minute breath meditation. if you're driving or not able to do this meditation, I want to kindly invite you to pause and do return to this. Do not put it off. I know my breathwork episodes are the least listened to on this podcast. But I want to invite you. Will you do this challenge with me? Can you challenge yourself to 1 week of waking up and not grabbing your phone? Of waking up and first thought, something you're grateful for, not because we are trying to toxic positivity our way out of this, but because the brain is wired for negativity bias, especially if you're deeply feeling like me. And so I must practice gratitude relentlessly. And I must not grab for my phone. And instead of a ritual, I light incense, I light a candle, and I make my coffee, and then I sit down on my fake sheepskin rug. I do some breath, I do some stretches, I do some moving of my hips, moving of my shoulders, and then I listen to a meditation. Can we do a week and take inventory of how it feels? Can we change the normal patterns that we have? Can we pause alcohol? Can we pause anything that might be a distraction? And yeah, when we remove those coping mechanisms, we are left with the raw dog, as the kids say, raw dog energy. Bring that raw dog energy into your meditation. Bring that raw dog energy into vigorous breath and shaking it out somatically. Bring it. Okay, here we go. We're going to do 10 vigorous emotional release, emotional cleaning of the pipes breath. Open mouth, inhale. Fill up your belly, fill up your chest. Exhale, open mouth. Inhale, 2. Open mouth, exhale. 3, inhale, mouth. Through your mouth, exhale. 4, shake your arms, stomp your feet, exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Shake it, inhale. Exhale. Move your body, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Hold it. Hold it. Feel whatever you feel, tingly, uncomfortable, sad. And then exhale so slow. Now, through your nose, we're going to fill our belly to the tippy top. Fill our lungs, chest, tippy top, and hold it. And then exhale. A count of 4, inhale through the nose. Hold for 4. Exhale for 8. Inhale 4. I'm safe. Hold. Exhale to a count of 8. I'm safe in this body. I'm safe to feel whatever I feel. I have evidence that the hardest of feelings will pass. Inhale 4. Hold for 4. And then exhale for 8. It's safe to feel whatever I feel. It's safe to expand into the spaciousness. Let's do one more breath. Inhale for 4. Fill your belly, fill it at the tippy top. Hold for 4. Exhale for 8. I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. Breathe naturally. visualize the energy moving through the soles of your foot, the energy of earth, of gravity, whatever you want to visualize. Moving up your calves, knees, thighs, hips, belly, ribs, lung, heart, chest, arms, neck, mouth, nose, eyes. Bring up that energy at the top of your head. It is safe to be in this body. It is safe to connect to the spiritual unknown, and it is safe to not know. It is safe to connect to the spiritual expansiveness. Feel your body and how much spaciousness that precious body takes up in the space around you. Think of the space in the room. Where are the walls? In that space, how much space is your body holding? Breathe. And if your mind wanders, that's okay. There's no right or wrong in the spiritual world of Mother Nature. There's just a continuing desire to flow. Keep breathing into your body naturally. There's nowhere to be. There's nothing to do. Everything can wait. Notice your mind and where your mind might want to take you. See your mind's pulling you here or there from the eyes of the most loving parent. It's okay. How precious that our mind pulls us. Bring your focus back to your breath, back to the sensation of your body and the space your body takes in space. Thank you, precious body. Your body is safe even when your body doesn't know the answers. Your body is safe even though it might be in pain. Your body is safe however your body feels right now. We will not abandon your body. We are here with your body. Your body is a living benefactor of billions of years of magical evolution. The body is made of the same compounds as the earth herself, as the water running in the streams and the oceans, rising and lowering with the tides pulled by the moon. This body is earth, and this body is your soul's home on earth to continue the curious journey of Earth School. When you feel ready, open your eyes, wiggle your toes. Thank you for practicing protecting your peace with me today. Thank you for being in that earth home to your magnificent, timeless soul. In a world that's always telling us who we should be and what we should do, I invite you to join me in the spiritual practice of allowing ourselves to be who we are, which is a question that doesn't really have an end, to be honest. We just keep asking it. Who am I today? What will nourish me today? And maybe there's no answer that comes, but we keep asking. And we see our bodies as our allies, not as something that wants to punish us with pain or punish us with anxiety or punish us. No. Our bodies are reacting to the intensity of this world. Maybe not ways that we would like, but an opportunities for us to lean into. Our body is our ally. She is the tool to experience this earth. She's the vessel. With our body, we can know hugs and tears. We can know orgasm and pain. This body, worthy of our love on the hardest of days. This body, a gem to be protected. This body, the elements of earth made into human form, so our souls can come to this wild planet and do this wild thing, whether we like it or not. All right, my loves, I wish you a beautiful week, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for being here. See you next week.